Alright all, I'm Simon from Stanton Bikes, painter here, and we're just going to talk you through a heritage wrap and what goes into it and all that sort of stuff. So we've got a slack line here in a 16.5 iridescent grandiose, which is in an elite colour, but it's not actually on the website. It's been specified specifically from one of our suppliers. And it pops. There's a couple of these out in the wild, Vicky Chapman and Graham, Wonky Woolies, that's him. They've both got one in Grandiose, FS's. This is the first hardtail we've done in this colour, and it's lovely. Acquired taste, it's pretty loud in the sunlight, but we're going to dull that down a bit with a nice classy heritage wrap. So the plan is to go gold Stanton, gold slackline and gold crown, and then we're going to put a really nice pearl burgundy red over the top of that, which will be the wrap. The rest will stay gold. So yeah, that's where we're at. So obviously certain measurements, all the measurements stay the same for the wraps. 200mm long, Stanton's 175, split the difference between. Slack lines, 5.5mm either side, masking tape. Everything's just got to line up basically and look right. Everything's done by eye and a ruler. Obviously everything looks symmetrical and all good. So we're going to pop some gold on there, and then we're going to mask the Stantons up, and then we'll go over that with the red. Do these in gold, and then we'll demask it all, and then it'll get gloss lacquered for this one, because that grandiose needs to pop in that sunlight, and if you satin or matte it, it's just not going to look the same. Yeah, this has all been Scotch brighted with grey Scotch Brite. It's actually had a coat of red sparkle lacquer, thin coat of lacquer on top of the grandiose, which means I can scotch it heavier to give a better key, and also just gives that extra element of pop to it. So this is the only one out there that's actually had that red lacquer over the top, but it is just a sparkle, and you can't actually even see it specifically on there. If you put it next to a standard grandiose one, you might. I don't know, I've never done it before, so I'm hoping it's just going to give that extra element of sparkle in the sunlight. So we shall see. We'll get it out in the sunlight later on when it's lacquered. It's a nice day today, so yeah, you'll be able to see it all glossed up and all finished. It's also having this frame's for a lad called Nick Nelson, who is one of the Steelers real boys. So he's a naughty boy, is Nick, so he's having proper notes on the seat stay here as well, so a bit of personalisation to it. He's a naughty boy when he has a few beers, is our Nick, so it gets a bit rowdy, you know. A bit of proper notes on there, and yeah, we'll see how it turns out. So this is a Nissan colour. We only need a little bit, so we're just going to about 50mm, that's all. Thin it down, about half and half, just short of. So we bought this, we got this colour in for Joe, who's holding the camera now, that's looking at me. He wanted to do a mocha grey, was it?
No, it's cream.
Cream with this red wrap. Heritage wrap, so we will still do that at some point, because this colour is just lovely. It's going to look wicked with cream. Oh. Nice, isn't it? The reason it's thinned is just because we want a really light coat. We don't want to be able to feel the heritage wrap really through it, or just be seamless. And you're only putting light coats on, you're not flooding it. Just a few nice light coats and that'll do. Decal it. When you're taking your decal off, then it doesn't pull the paint off or anything like that. It's been well keyed, so should be bang on. Look at that. Lovely. Already mixed, because we use a lot of gold. I'll just blow my gun through with some thinners. Okay, gold on, stick a mask on. blowing it off a little bit there, just nice and gentle. Just going to give it a quick go over with a tack rag first. Make sure there's no hairs or anything like that on there. Quick wipe over. Not going to do the slack line or the crown because it could disturb the decals, so just give that a bit of a blow off beforehand. Just give that another light coat, 5–10 minutes, and then just let it flash off for a little bit, and then we can put the red over the top once we've decaled it. Second flip over this gold, and then we can put the red on. Should be able to. So I'm just going to let that go off again, put a little drop coat over the slack line and the crown, further away, a little bit heavier with your paint, and just drop it on from a distance, makes all the sparkle just sit up. So I'll just do that on the slack line and the crown, and then we'll put the red on the Heritage. So we're going to do the Heritage wrap now. We've laid the gold on for the decals. Usual standard with these is that we let the colour of the frame show through the wrap. So it would usually be the Grandiose coming through and then the gold wrap. So with this one, obviously, it's a little bit different. So I need to mask up this top piece either side. So I need to cut my 2-inch tape down to 37mm. And then lay that over the top, brush it down, get my position in for the Stantons, and then we can put the red on. These wraps stem from the original Mark 1s, which was a paint job that Dan had done. Very similar. It was actually the Stanton was in a band, and then it was shut off, and then the cog was after it. So this is like a new take on that, really. The beauty of these as well is obviously there is a bit of money involved. These are £75 extra to do, but you get all the decals done in paint then. There's a lot more work involved, masking, unmasking. It's a very delicate thing as well, the demasking and stuff. So that's where your extra money comes from. Pretty cheap really for what you get, I think. So I'll just cut this down now, and then we'll lay that on. And we'll put the Stantons on, and then we'll get some red on there. I need my glasses for this because my eyes are getting old. Smaller diameter on the Sherpas and slack lines. These would on a switchback or switch 9 because the tubes are slightly bigger. These would be 40mm. Ditch that. And we're just going to lay that on top of there. Everything's done by eye and ruler measurement pretty much. To mess about with these a bit because the masking tape takes your eye off a bit to where you are. Now to get a good view of that and actually see if you're nice and straight and level and everything else, good way to do that is to put a piece of paper behind it, and then it instantly shows you what your gaps are to the edge of the frame. So obviously accuracy is key. That is pretty good, I'd say. If anything...
Oh, look at that.
What? Oh, Toby. Toby with coffee. Good lad, Tobes. I'm just going to reposition that slightly. Thanks, Tobes.
Which one? That one.
Mine's a black. You've not done... Can't drink that, Toby. Black, I said. Black, mate. Black. Black, mate. I'm fasting, aren't I?
You have to be so awkward.
I'm not awkward. I'm fasting. I can't have milk until 2:30 this afternoon.
So is you still put put salt in that one, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be good.
Mate.
That would be so good.
It's just my my little thing at the minute, my intermittent fasting. Yeah, well, yeah, I'll always be a thick boy, I think, but I can't see me ever being that skinny. But quite happy being a thick boy anyway. I wouldn't want to be super thin. I've never been thin in my life. So I'm happy with that. That's you look at that. That's good distance in there. We'll measure it anyway. Should be 2.5 mil either side. Yeah. Yeah. Stanton's a 170 mil, not 175, as I said before. 170, so you've got 30 mil, so 15 mil either side. So you just measure your 15 mil off here. Just there. And then a piece of inch tape. Like that. And then that's your back marker for your decal. So crown and cog is always at the top. I have to put my head in front of the camera, Joe, sorry. So that all just sits on that bottom line of the tape there. One side. Oh, Toby's brought me a new coffee. Thanks, Tobes.
Coffee number 8,500 for Simon.
Yeah, hardly. Thanks, mate.
That's all right.
So then we want to take these two pieces off. Gingerly with that, you don't want to be pulling any paint off. Watch that table, Joe. And then we'll apply the decal. So start from the bottom here. So you want to force the air out. With the down tube decals, because it's a big decal, you start on the top rib and then you work your way out to the sides, pushing all the air out as you go. Because they don't, the oven doesn't like air bubbles when you bake them. Sorry, pinkies. That's better.
Salty coffee.
Salty coffee, yeah. It actually takes the bitterness of the black coffee away. It's really good. You only need a little tiny bit. Too much is bleh, nasty. Okay, and she'll just peel this off now. So you're left with your gold Stantons underneath there. Same on the other side. Okay, and then just to check that, we just lift the frame up and look at it from down on the top tube, and you can see, if you look there, you can see your crowns and everything. Make sure everything's symmetrical.
Oh mate, what was in that bucket? Water.
It's just water, yeah.
Just studded it.
It's for the wax oil.
Okay,
It loosens the wax oil up. Hot water, it's not hot now.
It's not thin, is
You
it?
just literally stood your whole foot in it.
In the
Or...
bucket.
So that's it now. That's ready for the red to go on. And then we'll unmask it all. What I'm going to do is just put a piece of tape over the gold there that we've already done. Just nice and loose. So no overspray or anything gets on it. It's unlikely to anyway, but it's better to be safe than sorry. It won't go anywhere near the crown, so that's fine. Take that out of the stand. And then put that back in here. Okay. So let's give that another stir. I swear I spill it everywhere. Whoop. So these, basically with these colours, we don't have a mixing scheme, we do them to order. So a lot of these we've just got in for customers. So if there was any specific colour you wanted, maybe you have a really nice dark purple skyline and you want to colour match your heritage wrap to your skyline, or you've got a oak green Mark II Golf and you want a oak green heritage wrap, we can do that. So that's the beauty of it. Personalisation is pretty much endless, really. It's really good. Okay, first coat. Yeah, it's going to look wicked. It's nice because I've been kind of just given free rein with this. I'd pick the colour pretty much, pick the decal colour and everything. I don't know, I've had some wicked customer ones, like so Jack Mallard had that like turquoise with pink wrap, and I thought it was going to be hideous and it looked really good. Done some awesome ones, to be honest. Some of them have been really good. Colours that you'd never think of putting together, and they just work really, really well. Second coat of red going on now. Let's do another drop coat on it now, and then that'll do. We can unmask. Okay, so we have got rid of all the paper because no one wants to see me unmasking that because it's boring. So we're now going to unmask the heritage, the crown and the slack lines. So we'll start with the heritage. That's a nice crisp line, which is what we want. Beautiful. Because it's paint underneath, you've got to be super careful when you're lifting the decal because you don't want to scratch any of the gold off. So it's quite finicky. Nice sharp blade. Bit of a laborious process. My eyesight has got progressively worse since I've been doing these. It's like my eyes seem to have said no. I need magnifying glasses. Obviously we'll deburr it and stuff after we've unmasked everything. I'll just run a dry cloth over it, get any paint edges off, and then we'll give it a rub over with a mild degreaser. I'll give you an insight as to what it'll look like when it's lacquered. Oh, booze. Booze overflowing. Shit. So Joe's just changed his lens to a macro lens to get super close up. You see all my manky bitten nails. Can't wait to see this lacquered. It's going to look so cool. Oh man, Paul is just doing the proper Noughts decal for me. Paul Beale. Oh man, Beale. You can see a little bit of glue residue being left on there. We'll get rid of that in a bit with a bit of degreaser. I love that bit when you pull that bottom line off and it just reveals the bottom of the word there. See, if you put this on too heavy or you don't key it enough, it'll just pull the paint off when you're demasking it. It's a fine line. Well, it's a fine line when you're scotching powder as well, because when you powder coat, all the metallics flow to the top. So when you scotch it, you can quite easily go through the metallic, and then when that happens, you end up having to repaint the whole frame. So we definitely try to avoid that. On slack line. Yeah. Yeah. And that is that. So just give it a little bit of a rub with a dry cloth and then we'll degrease it, get any glue off. You'll see kind of what it'll look like when it's lacquered when I rub it with degreaser. Just look at that pop there. Incredible for a powder coat, such a good colour. And just getting rid of any burrs and paint edges, and because it's only a mild degreaser, it doesn't take the paint off or anything. Look at that. Circular motions, takes burrs off at all edges and angles then.
Let's do the wrap.
Let's do the wrap. Yeah, that's what it will look like when it's lacquered. There you go. So I just got to do the proper notes on the rear stay here, and then that's all done. Ready for lacquer. Lacquer reveal. Hi, so different day today. We have, following on from the one that we did yesterday, the iridescent grandiose with the red heritage wrap. It's been baked in lacquer and it's out the oven, so we're probably going to take it outside and let you guys see it in the sunlight. It's hung up here, it's been badged, demasked. You get some good idea of the colours, but you don't really see it truly until you hit proper sunlight. So we'll take it outside in a minute. We've got the gold Reynolds contrasting with the gold here and the gold on the heritage wrap, and then you've got the little personal touch there, proper notes.
We missed filming that, didn't we?
Yeah, we missed filming that, unfortunately. But that's all painted on like the heritage is. Should we have a look at it in the sunlight?
Yeah.
It's a particularly sparkly powder. Chuffed with how it's come out. You want to have a look at it in some sunlight? Hey, no, dropped it then. See, obviously in that light it just looks like a dark burgundy red really. Although this is the iridescent grandiose powder, it's also got a red sparkle lacquer on top of the, you know, before the decals go on. So it's got that extra bit of sparkle to it that the grandiose doesn't have. Proper notes.